Great.
I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Swalwell, for 5 minutes.
Thank you. And there's no doubt that drones, particularly for law enforcement, have changed the game for surveillance, for search and rescue, to assist in active SWAT operations. They can save not only civilian lives, but also protect our men and women in law enforcement. And the Sergeant just alluded to a problem that we've run into, which is that cheaper Chinese components have made it much more affordable for law enforcement agencies to have these capabilities. And we all know the risk that comes along with having Chinese components in our drones, which is that they could be pinging back to mainland China and affecting our own national security in the way that they could be gathering intelligence on behalf of the Chinese government. And certainly no law enforcement agency wants that. But Sergeant Dooley, I imagine you would tell me that when you're making decisions to protect the people who work with you and to protect the public, you have to think about like what can bring public safety and how you can stretch your dollars the best. Is that right? I mean, is that a kind of some of the tension you have to deal with in making a decision like that?
Not anymore. The state of Florida legislated that, so we don't have to worry about it. We just pick what we need. And they also supply funding now to help us reach those goals of transitioning everything away.
And my goal, just as yours stated earlier, is that we would have entirely an affordable American-made supply chain. In fact, in California, there's a company, I think it's made up of former Navy SEALs, called Inspired Flight, which is American-made components. It sounds like you're familiar with Inspired Flight.
Oh yeah, they're good people. I like them.
Yeah, same. So my question for Dr. Wallace is, knowing that 86% of the drones, knowing that a high percentage of drones are made in China and that the overconcentration can affect our national security, what can we do in the near term to make sure that law enforcement has affordable drones, but on the manufacturing side that we're able to expedite our ability to produce American-made components?
That's an excellent question. I can tell you I'm not a manufacturing expert. I can tell you that from a capabilities perspective, currently Chinese-made drones have a capability that can't be matched at the same dollar value. I do think that given that limitation, the choice that ultimately has to be made with regards to especially public safety is one of lives. Because at the end of the day, if a public safety agency doesn't have access to the tool they need to protect that public at the capability they need to accomplish what they need to do, the ultimate price will be either a law enforcement member's life or potentially a member of a citizen's life. And so I think that is a metric that should be taken into account.
Agreed. And Sergeant Dooley, are there any examples that you have not given the committee as to how a drone facilitated saving life or protecting the officers who work with you that you think could animate the need for giving law enforcement more resources in this area?
For the counter side, or just a success story from having drones in public safety?
Both.
Okay, so from a success side, I'll give you an example, and I give it all the time. I work very closely with the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office in South Florida, and there was a deputy and I were eating lunch, and we get this call of a stabbing inside a home, and everybody fled. And unfortunately, the person that was the criminal in this particular case was off his medication, recognizing that we may have had some type of mental episode, and we approach it differently. And as soon as we arrive there, the deputy gets permission to put his drone, and I supported him by making sure everything was squared away. He put his drone into the house, and within 3 minutes, he located the suspect. We recovered the suspect. They're in custody. No one got shot. No one got dog bit. Everybody went on about their day, and the person who had been stabbed was getting medical attention. And this was solved in minutes versus like an hour standoff with a SWAT team without this type of technology. And from the other side of not having detection or counter UAS that's been hindering is a bulk of what we get is like careless and clueless individuals where they're just as dangerous at times as someone with bad intent. For example, the person in California, they gave the example of hitting the seaplane that was, I forget the name of it. That person didn't do it on purpose. They were just careless and clueless. Same thing in Texas during the flooding. We had someone strike a helicopter. They didn't do it on purpose. Sometimes careless and clueless individuals are just as dangerous as those that have those negative intentions. And I think that having this technology, both for public safety, provides a tremendous value of being able to save lives and protect lives, but more importantly, having the ability to detect and potentially mitigate if needed also could provide those values where we can keep manned aviation safe. You know, we harp on that terrorist side, and okay, the careless and clueless can be just as dangerous as those individuals that intended and planned something versus someone just popping up trying to make a YouTube video and they actually hit an airplane or violate airspace.
Great.
And we
Well,
lock
thank-
something down.
Thank you for your service, Sergeant, and to the men and women that you serve with, I'll say what we say in our law enforcement family, be safe. So, thank you.
Gentleman's time's expired.